there were air marshals on this latest plane crash that happened. The one I don't even remember the name of the flight or whatever. The latest plane that went down in Europe, was it between Egypt and France or something?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
it was Egyptian Air.
There were 3 marshals on board.
That's weird.
There were 3 air marshals on board, and presumably they would have been armed. So I'm thinking somehow they smuggled a bomb on board. I'm going to be honest with you. If there really were 3 marshals on board, plane went down, catastrophic, and they just recently this week found both black boxes in the Mediterranean. They recovered them both, so they're going to know a good idea of what exactly happened, if not exactly what happened. I'm thinking with all these Muslim extremists that or at least have ties to extremism that are being hired as workers at airports, it wouldn't be very hard at all to get one in the luggage compartment.
Right, absolutely. No, and you're listening to Smith Radio at smithradio.com. You can listen to us live every Sunday evening from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Facebook.com/Smith Radio or at Smith Radio on Twitter. That's SMYTH. And we're talking about the Second Amendment being under attack by the libs and then politicizing every single mass murder, shooting, killing, except the ones in Chicago.
And the ones that involve,
Nobody talks about Chicago.
Yeah, that's weird.
They're saying it's global warming. It's the heat that's come. That heat wave that's coming. Phoenix is going to hit 123 degrees. It's going to set a new record coming out because it's global warming. But the heat wave in Chicago is making people kill each other.
That was a joke from who was that? Who did that joke? Somebody did this joke a long time ago. What's going on with all the killing in L.A.? And this was back during the NWA when that was really popular. All the gangster rappers and all that.
Right.
And he said, "I'll tell you what's wrong with them. Have you ever seen these gangsters in the videos, in the rap videos? They got beanies on. They got long sleeve flannels. You know how hot it. You know how hot it gets in L.A. They're angry because they're so hot." Yeah, that was a big joke back then. Whoever that was, copyright whoever that was. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal. I didn't mean to steal your joke, but whatever.
Right.
So so Howard Stern, we just played his sound bite, and he made a great analogy. We're all just sheep, and when you look at people, I mean, if you're not the kind of person that walks around wondering or needing, having a desire, a physical urge to kill somebody on a regular basis, then you're a sheep.
Right.
You're not a wolf.
You're not a hunter.
You're not a wolf. You're not out to kill people.
Correct.
I mean, when you wake up every morning, does it go through your mind? I wonder if I can get away with killing 1, 2, 10, 20, 100.
How many you think?
3,000.
Okay, if I got my AR-15 and I got my 9mm,
and maybe even a bomb, a vest, bomb. Yeah, one of those. Oh, yeah. We could strap it to us, or an IED or something. If you're not one of those people, then you're a sheep, right?
Correct.
And that's what Howard Stern's saying. And I know there's people out there, particularly those in Texas who are armed, who just want to defend themselves.
Correct.
They would find that to be offensive. They don't want to be called a sheep, but they're not out being a predator to other human beings, so they're not a wolf.
Right.
That being said, the analogy was just great. You don't disarm the sheep, especially when they have the opportunity to be armed and to defend themselves when...
And then when he said to the sheep, hey, sheep, we'll give you a gun so that you can kill the wolf if he comes. And he's, well, he didn't eat me. He ate the neighbor down the street.
And that was kind of he's kind of given the thing back in the Nazi Germany days was that it's okay that they were going after the Jews because I'm not Jewish.
Correct.
And then, it turns out that that's just the start. And when the group of people goes after another group of people that doesn't happen to be your people, and you're okay with that, that's a problem. Because as soon as they're done exterminating that group of people, they're going to look for another group of people. And it may be your group, it may not be your group. But eventually it will be your group.
Oh, yeah, they'll get you.
Right.
They will eventually get you. And that's funny. It's ironic that the the most viral picture that we have on sickbias.com. By the way, if you go to sickbias.com, you can kind of keep posted on a lot of articles that we'll talk about through the show, and a lot of things that come up throughout the week that we'll repost on Sick Bias. But there is a picture that I posted up on Sick Bias years ago. And it's a black and white photo in Germany, probably around 1938-ish, where a boxcar train is at the station, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of Jews being loaded into the boxcars, with German military men with guns.
Right.
And it's a meme, and so the words say, and they told you don't need guns.
Yeah, that's a
They
problem.
told you, and so that's like, I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands of likes on that picture. It's just insane.
Right.
It's true though.
Yeah, absolutely. And something needs to be done about the root cause of the problem.
Well, I got a solution. Eliminate the entire Democrat Party.
That's interesting. Now, their argument is that there's what was it, that right-wing extremism is just as dangerous in America as radical Islam?
Article this week. New York Times. Now that you say that.
I mean, my head has just been spinning this whole week. It's just nuts.
New York Times has come out and said they did an entire article about one of the saints, the Catholic saints from back in the day, like 500 years ago or 300 years ago, said that it's okay. Go ahead, kill all Christians.
The saint said that?
Oh, hold on. New York Times. This is from Breitbart. New York Times sloppiness when reporting on Christianity is proverbial, but perhaps none of its prior equals its claim this week that the Apostle St. Paul commanded Christians to kill homosexuals among them. Can you say error? Anyone?
Kill homosexuals among them?
Yeah, that's what they wrote an article stating that with remarkable insouciance, the New York Times writers, Jeremy and Lizette, make reference to the Bible verse of Romans that calls for the execution of gays and attribute to St. Paul's letter. But as Breitbart writes, anyone who has ever read the New Testament knows St. Paul never permits the Christians should commit any violence whatsoever against homosexuals. But the Times editors apparently thought that fact-checking the original text was superfluous, or that the readers were too ignorant to check for themselves.
That's become the MO of the mainstream media, is that not only are they not going to do any kind of digging to find out whether or not they're right, they're not even going to go to a fact checker website to check to see. They're not even going to let a third party do the fact checking for them. And the mainstream media knows this. So that, way back in 2008, I believe, is when Sean Hannity said, he was the first to say it, a lot of people have agreed with him since then, that journalism has died.
Oh, absolutely. It is completely dead.
And complete death. It is rigor mortis has set in. There's no pulse.
This
no
is
heat
Weekend
left in the
at
body.
Bernie's part 99.
That is absolutely right. Journalism is Bernie, and I don't mean Bernie Sanders. I mean Weekend at Bernie's. They are dragging it around like it's still alive, and it's not. And people believe that it is. They think that they're getting information when they're actually getting purposeful lies.
Correct.
Because it's just to it's propaganda. Let's be honest. Let's just cut out the middleman. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Media today, particularly mainstream media, is just simply propaganda.
Right. And I kind of want to delve into the whole thing of the Orlando shooter, because this entire week has been just nothing but just everybody diving headfirst into this thing, trying to make sense of it all, unraveling it all. And it's actually...
What was the first narrative?
Easier to find out facts than ever before, because this guy
What guy?
The shooter.
Oh, okay.
He was not a secretive type of individual.
Oh, turns out he had a social media presence.
He had a social media presence, and his father had a worldwide presence.
Oh, okay. So what was he, like a celebrity?
Well, apparently he ran for president.
What?
Yeah, he ran for president from the country he's originally from.
Could you imagine
back
him
in the Middle East?
Striking up a conversation with him at the bar, Pulse, whatever, and oh yeah, my dad's running for president.
Right. And something.
He's a prince.
Yes.
He's
and something else. His father. I don't know where he got radicalized. I didn't know something to the fact that he didn't know about the church he went to, the mosque he went to. No. Sorry, folks. Come to find out that his dad was deeply tied into the mosque and had a lot to do with the mosque.
Okay, that's interesting, Brian, because right after this all happened, one of the first... Do you have any sound bites from Obama? If not, that's okay. What we've heard from Obama is that this guy was radicalized, and he kind of hinted that it was recent radicalization. But what he doesn't tell you, and pretty much either he's completely inaccurate, what he said was false, flat out, but was he just wrong because he didn't know any better, or was he lying again?
Well, I say he's lying because he is referred to as a anti-gay, pro-Taliban father of radical Islamic terrorist behind the terrorist behind this carnage. That's his dad.
Well, the guy was the shooter was 29 years old. There are reports from kids. Well, they're not kids anymore. They're 29 now. That went to high school.
So you saw that?
Oh yeah, the article.
Right.
It was Washington Post, I believe. The article was they interviewed some of his high school classmates.
Right.
From sophomore year.
Which would have been 2001.
Right, September 11th, 2001. I can totally imagine this because this is the kind of stuff that happened when I was a kid. Big, huge, worldwide event happens, and they wheel in the TV so that the kids at school could see it live or in real time or whatever as the news comes out. They did this when the Challenger exploded. They wheeled in. I was in 3rd grade, and they wheeled in the TV to show us what happened. Right. Well, during 9/11, he was a sophomore in high school, and the teacher wheeled in the TV so that the class could see what was going on with the World Trade Center. And, of course, everybody was just in shock. And one guy was jumping up and down, cheering.
In jubilation.
Turns out that guy, that boy, that sophomore in high school, that was jumping up and down, cheering 9/11, was the Orlando shooter.
Correct.
Now, if that's a fact, when was Obama talking about him being radicalized? And also, Obama also specifically pointed out that he had become radicalized by looking at websites on the internet. So he didn't just say, oh, he became radicalized.
Right.
He was specific. He said watching or reading internet websites. Now, back in 2001, I know everybody knows people were looking at websites in the 90s. The internet had started to become pretty popular in the late 90s. 2001 was several years later. However, how many of those websites do you think were Islamic extremists in nature? How much internet access did Middle Eastern countries have back then?
Right.
Hardly any. 50% of all internet users back in 2001 were American in America.
So for Obama to say, well, he wasn't searching the internet for terrorist stuff back in the day, just recently.
Facebook was founded in 2005, like 4 whole solid years.
I remember that.
After 9/11. YouTube, I think 2003 to 2005, somewhere in that area, but nobody knew about YouTube. It took years for YouTube to really catch hold.
I think it was around 2006, and I listened to Rush Limbaugh on the radio, and he kept referring to this YouTube. I'm like, what? The letter U?
Right.
Tube?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, What? What are you talking
you
about,
want to hear
man?
a sad story? I know I've told you this story, but I'll tell the listeners.